Happy Wednesday, everyone. We have a fun little work set for you guys today. It's kind of like this little couplet chipper. One time through, top to bottom, we'll take it down, have some fun with it. But before we get to that, let's talk about what we got going on for the warm-up. We're gonna prep ourselves really well. We're gonna use some plank leans for 6 alternating. We do a forearm plank for 20 seconds, plank shoulder touch for 6 alternating, forearm side plank for 20 seconds aside, finishing off with a plank to down dog just to seal the deal and move everything around really well. 3 to 5 reps for 2 to 3 rounds. So a good chance to work on some stability for the shoulder, working on good positioning through that shoulder, and just building some good core engagement. After that, we're going to work on some skills. Dumbbell sumo deadlift high pull for 3 reps, into our dumbbell snatch for 2, right into an overhead hold of 15 to 30 seconds. Then you'll repeat on the opposite side, warm up that other side, get that dumbbell snatch kind of flowing, get that overhead position going really well, and then finish off with some more upper body and shoulder stuff. So we have our Humeral glide to knee push up for 3 to 5, which is going to come in handy for what we have coming up in our work set, and then finishing off with some prone shoulder raises for 6 to 10 alternating reps at a 1 to 2 second hold per side. Again, just to really dial in that shoulder stability and that position work overhead. 2 to 3 rounds there. Take that down. Moving into the work set, it's going to be fast-ish and furious. Not super fast, but it's going to be fast-ish. But what we got for you guys, 50 alternating dumbbell snatches, 20 burpees, 35 alternating dumbbell snatches, 20 burpees, and 20 dumbbell snatches, 20 burpees. Done. Finish her off, take it down, have some fun with it, call it a day. So we got some cool stuff there, lots of fun stuff. It's a gasser. It is just steady state kind of through this work set. The burpees in this workout really do fall into the category of just trying to keep them steady, not trying to blast them out super fast, but just trying to keep them steady and moving forward. Now, let's get you warmed up, ready for action. All right, let's take those arms up big and tall. We're gonna shrug those shoulders. We'll come down with the shoulders, scratch our back with both hands, bring the ribs in. We're gonna reach with an elbow and down, reach with the elbow and down. Reach and down and reach down. 2 more. Reach and down and reach and down. Big stretch overhead. We're going to shrug. And then we're going to come back down with the shoulders. Take it all the way down the floor. Touch those toes. We're going to walk up the shins. We'll come all the way down, framing the foot. We'll step back into that lizard, nice and solid in that positioning. We're going to lower the back knee down, press the hip. And then we're going to open up with that outside arm. Big stretch to the sky. We'll come back down, press the hip, come back through, outside hand, big reach, back down, press that hip, back through one more time, opening up, and then coming down. Straightening out that leg, we'll step back into our down dog, setting those shoulders really well. We're going to walk our heels back and forth. Nice and steady, nice and slow, just waking up our feet. We've done a little bit of work in the past couple of days, so we want to make sure that they're ready. Nice plank position. We'll step up with the other foot. Back knee comes down. We're going to lower and press that hip. We're going to come back through. Outside hands at reach. Come back down. Press that hip. Open up. Outside hand. Come back down. And press that hip. And open up. Outside hand. We'll plant that hand down, straighten out the back leg, step back into that down dog, reaching those hips, nice and set, and walk those heels out nice and strong. Gently, gently walking those heels. Good. We'll come back into our plank, tiptoeing those feet up, roll ourselves up, big stretch, little shrug. Come back down, bring the hands down, and we'll get you guys fired up. So, if you'd like to do some more gentle warm-up, maybe cat-cow, thread the needle, scap push up, not a bad one today to play with, please do so. Pause the video, take that down. We are going to move into a little bit of upper body focused warm-up with a lot of core work in there. So, come on, join me. We'll get you guys fired up, generate some internal heat. All right, our first phase of the day is gonna be some plank leans. So we're gonna work on shifting side to side. So I'm gonna face the front for you guys for this. So we're gonna grip the floor. We're gonna pull those ribs in, press the shoulders to the sky. And we're gonna shift by pulling over and pressing over with those arms. And then coming back through and then pressing to the other side. So we're keeping that body nice and tight, and we're allowing the torso and the body to follow the shoulders and the upper back as we lean back and forth. What we want to think about is gripping the floor with those nice wide fingers, and again, pulling with the upper body, keeping the arms straight, and then pulling over to the other side. Take your time with these. There's no tempo, there's no pause, but I always like to give myself that little moment per side just to feel that engagement and that control, just so it gives us a chance to really investigate the shoulder position and our hand and wrist strength. After we're done those 6, we're going to move into our forearm plank. So again, just a normal forearm plank. Forearm is down, elbow stacked underneath the shoulder. You're going to push into the floor. We're going to step back into that nice plank position, pulling the ribs in, pressing the shoulders to the sky, holding that nice plank. And I want you to imagine that someone's going to come and stand on your shoulders and your hips. So we want to make sure we're supporting heavily between those 2 places. So we're nice and solid, and we're going to keep our head looking kind of towards our hands or just in front of our hands. Not cranking the neck, but just keeping our head neutral so we're not looking too far forward, nor looking down towards our toes. Just kind of looking just generally in front of the hands. It's a nice place to put our head, keeps our neck in line. From there, we're going to take our plank lean to the next level. We're going to work on the plank shoulder touch. So I'm going to stay facing forward for this one as well. And we're going to play around with touching the same hand, same shoulder. So I set up the same way as I would for my lean. I'm going to get tight through the ribs, press the shoulders up. I'm going to lean first. Once I've established this strong position on the hand, I'm going to pull my other hand up and touch my shoulder. I'm going to lean, pull, and come back through. So something really important to think about is pressing through the floor, especially on that arm that's going to be stabilizing and balancing us as we lift that point of contact. So we lift, we're actively pressing through this arm, touch the shoulder, bring it back down, then we're pushing through those arms, both arms, as we stabilize through that plank. So 2 stages to this. We stabilize. First we lean, we're active through the shoulder, touch, come back through. So we have to get that lean in there first to make sure that we have our weight balanced on that one side. So you're going to feel that little shift. Now from that plank shoulder touch, we're going to come back into our forearm, but we're going to do a side plank. So there's a few things we can do here with the forearm side plank. We can go straight leg. So we're active again. So before we lift anything or get ourselves lifted off the floor, we're going to stabilize and set the shoulder. So we're pushing down through that arm. So we have an active shoulder, not sinking into our shoulder. We push, we're strong, and then we can lift our hips. We can keep the arm up, whatever we need to do for ourselves with that hand, or we can bend the knees, and we can lift and squeeze up into that same positioning. Hand can go where it needs to. We're focused on squeezing that side body up and keeping that shoulder pressure down into the floor. So nice and strong and tight here. We're looking at 20 seconds per side. If you need to accumulate that time frame, that's also okay. Make sure we're focusing on that shoulder. So if we feel that shoulder start to sink on us, we want to make sure we drop ourselves down, take a moment to rest, and continue on with the strong shoulder position. After the side plank, we're going to move into our plank to down dog. And really we're using this just to open up our positions and to work on that overhead position. So we get in that same plank we use for the lean and the shoulder touch. Setting those arms, pushing through the floor, pinky and thumb pressing into the floor equally. I'm pulling my hips back, softening my knees, and I'm going to keep space between the shoulders. So I find that good down dog position. I come back into my plank, nice and tight and strong. I pull back and up into that down dog. Then I come back into that plank, really focusing on hitting that nice position through the ribs and that strong maintenance of the shoulder position through that movement set. So before we go into that down dog, if we do lose that shoulder position, make sure we find it in the plank before we go back into that next down dog rep. With the down dog, we want to make sure that we have a neck and our shoulders aren't kind of creeping inwards, but we have a neck and that shoulder is nice and strong and active. Now, quick little recap. We have a plank lean for 6 alternating, forearm plank for 20 seconds, into a plank shoulder touch, 6 alternating, so we're taking that plank lean to the next level, into a forearm side plank for 20 seconds per side, and then a plank to down dog for 3 to 5, 2 to 3 rounds. Just bring everything together, have some fun with that, get everything ready to go in that upper body. Next phase, we're going to start using some dumbbells, getting used to being overhead. So pause the video, take down that first piece, get yourself ready to go, and we're going to move into some technical work with the dumbbell. All right, so our next phase of work, we're going to use a dumbbell. We're going to get used to that snatch position and moving into that overhead position. So we're going to use a little complex. We're going to use the sumo deadlift high pull for 3, snatch for 2, and overhead hold for 15 to 20 seconds. So I'm going to roll through each one of these things relatively smoothly, but I want you guys to know if you want to add in one movement into this piece, you can, and we can add in a sumo deadlift. So we did that yesterday in our strength work. But if you'd like to add that in to work on opening up the hips and the knees, you're more than welcome to, because I'm going to show you that right now. So with our body position, I'm going to turn to the side to show you that deadlift. Our setup position in the deadlift that we use is the same for each of our snatch and our sumo deadlift high pull. So I get myself down, hips are going to come a little lower than normal. My chest is going to be upright and high, and I'm going to push through those feet and stand, opening up the hips. And this is the foundation to each of these movements. So the next phase is driving a little bit more through those legs, getting that dumbbell some momentum so we can guide it to our sternum. And I'm going to face forward for that for you guys. Now, we take it down, we get set. I'm going to push through those feet. I'm going to guide the momentum to the sternum. So that elbow comes high and outside into this nice open position. Not forward and in, but high and outside. On the same token, I'm not pulling with the arm very much. I'm just sort of continuing the momentum and coming back down. There's not a lot of stress on the shoulder here. I'm not just doing a high pull. I'm using the legs to get the dumbbell moving. Now from this, we're going to move into a snatch. And we're going to turn over into that overhead position from that high pull. So I get down to that same position, I get set, I drive through the legs, and I continue the momentum in that pull into that overhead position, pressing into that nice overhead, coming back down to execute again. Now in this next rep, I'm going to hold it overhead and talk about the overhead position in the hold. But for now, again, the snatch, 90% of that movement comes from those legs and hips. We push, we continue, get that good overhead position, lock that thing out, and then our last movement, we hold overhead. So we're squeezing our glutes, ribs are in, so we're nice and neutral through the midsection, and we're pressing into that dumbbell. I still have a neck, right? I'm not losing my neck by shrugging my shoulder. I'm set in that good position, and my dumbbell is nice and over top of my body. So my bicep is in line or slightly behind my shoulder. I'm going to hold that anywhere from 15 to 30 seconds. Now keep in mind with the sequence, it's a nice little flow from that sumo deadlift to sumo deadlift high pull to snatch. Each movement kind of builds off of another, and we just add one more piece to it. So with that snatch, we drive through the legs, and as the high pull starts to happen, that's when we pull and commit to that position in that little power landing. So we don't have to get the dumbbell all the way up here before we pull under. As soon as we feel that dumbbell coming up, we start that punch overhead and finish that position. Now, once you've done on one side, you'll repeat on the opposite side, and then take that down a few times. We're going to move into some floor stuff to continue working on that upper body movement set. So come along with me. We're going to lay on our stomachs for the next 2 movements. So our next 2 movements are going to just kind of get that upper body and core ready. We're going to start with some pressing. Right? We did a lot of pressing through the legs and the pull. Now we're gonna work on our press through the upper body for the burpee. So we're gonna pull the shoulders forward into that humeral glide. This again is where we don't want the shoulders in our push-up or our burpee. And then we're gonna pull them back and we're gonna set the shoulder well. We're gonna pull the ribs in, nice and tight and set, and then we're gonna push through the arms into that nice knee plank position. Hand under the shoulder, ribs are in, nice and set. I can add in a 3-second negative here if I like, or I can lower with good control before turning off the body and resetting my next rep. So shoulders come forward where I don't want them. I pull them back to feel where I do want them. Pull the ribs and hips in. Press into that push. And then lowering, leading with the chest. So the chest touches first, and then I can relax. So a couple things with that humeral glide. We want to think about the elbows being at about a 45 degree. All right, our hands are in that base portion of that tripod. So head and hands create the tripod in that triangle. We're set and tight through that core. We push into that good, nice plank position. And again, we're trying to recreate what we want to have happen in our burpee, maintaining that good tight core position as we get a little more dynamic in the workout. So take your time here, use the tempo, use whatever you need to get that good push position and build that strength there. After that, we have our prone shoulder raise. So we lay back on the floor, we get our arms out nice and straight, everyone's favorite movement. Eyes are down to the floor, toes together. We squeeze and press into the floor. We pull the ribs in, press the armpits down. We maintain this position as we lift an arm and hold this position for 1 to 2 seconds. Lower it down, press in, lift, hold for 1 to 2 seconds. Come back down, switch it over to the other side. And again, the entire time we're going back and forth between the arms, my body position on the floor doesn't change. So I'm maintaining that good hollow the entire time throughout that process. So if you feel your body go, all right, and turn off through the ribs or through the hips, we need to pause, reset the tension from the toes to the fingertips, and then restart doing those movements again. Not restart the rep you're on, but restart the process of maintaining that tension. Very, very, very important, right? We're not doing an arch up, we're doing a prone shoulder raise. We need to make sure we keep those ribs and hips active and tucked in. As a quick recap for this piece, we have a dumbbell sumo deadlift high pull for 3, dumbbell snatch for 2, into a dumbbell overhead hold for 15 to 30 seconds. Then repeat on the opposite side. Like I mentioned earlier, if you would like to add in a sumo deadlift, do 1 sumo deadlift into 2 sumo deadlift high pulls, and then 2 snatches. If you'd like to add that in, just to reinforce that opening of the hips and the knees. After we've done both sides, you're going to move onto the floor. You're going to work that humeral glide to knee push-up for 3 to 5 reps. Prone shoulder raise for 6 to 10, alternating with that 1 to 2 second pause per side. And then you're going to hit that for 2 to 3 rounds to get yourself primed and ready and get yourself fired up for this work set. So let's pause the video, take down that skill work. There's a ton of stuff to unpack there and to work on before we hit that work set. All right, we're here, the workout's here. Now, what we've been practicing is kind of one side for that skill of the snatch and the other side. So what I'm gonna do is just go through a few snatches, kind of alternating back and forth, because in the workout, we alternate the reps back and forth. So all the while, our primary focus during that snatch is good, solid movement, so we can be efficient and move the dumbbell well. So the snatch is not finished until the dumbbell is out of our hands. So I want you guys to remember that in terms of our position. So I'm going to turn to the side so you can watch one specific piece, and that's my back position. So I get set up, I get down to the bottom position, tight, I snatch it, pushing through the legs, I come down, regardless of how I transition the dumbbell, I come down with that good back position, come through, switch sides, good back position, drive, keeping that dumbbell close, but maintaining that nice strong back position the entire time when I go down. It's very common to let our body just go, oh, there we go, and then come into a good back position. But we have to embrace that kind of discipline to maintain that good back position all the way to the floor. So we're protecting and not putting ourselves in a compromised position. So regardless of how fast, how slow, how steady you're going, that back position needs to be a primary focus in our work set today. Now, after the snatch, if you want some more detailed kind of info on it, scroll back to the warm-up we just had because we covered it in pretty good depth there with the sumo deadlift into the snatch. But we have our burpee. And we have two variations of burpee. So we have our squat thrust, which does not involve a push-up, and we have our full burpee, which involves the press. So I'm going to show you two variations that you can mix and match if you like. Full burpee, we get into that good floor position. We come through with that little jump. Or we come through the same movement on the floor, but we step and we step. Or any variation of that. So you could jump back, step in, step back, jump in. It's up to you. All right, so anything you want, mix and match, have some fun with those. Key points to keep in mind: humeral glide, points of performance, that nice tight rib position, keeping the elbows stacked over top of the wrist. So we want to make sure we're nice and solid here in this tripod position. Our other variation is our squat thrust. So that is a non-push-up variation. So we come down with the hands, we set the legs in that plank, pop in, or we come down, step, step, or any variation of those two things. So it's nothing crazy. If you want to mix and match, have some fun, set yourself up with the squat thrust kind of variation that's going to allow you to hit the best plank possible. So we want to make sure, a couple things to keep in mind: hands stay under the shoulders the entire time, ribs stay tight and set the entire time as well as we move in and out of that plank. We don't want any soft legs and sway back in the hips. So embrace this work set, you guys. What we have for you guys for this workout is 50 dumbbell snatches, total count, 20 burpees or squat thrusts, dumbbell snatch for 35, total count, alternating, burpee 20, and then we have dumbbell snatch for 20 alternating, and then 20 burpees to close out the workout. It's going to be a sweet little work set. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be gassing, so pick and choose when you can rest, and if you need to break up those dumbbell snatches, please do so to keep that body in good position and moving efficiently. As always, you guys, let me know how this one goes. I'm super excited to see a bunch of green emojis on that Facebook page today. But let's see where it takes us. Let's have a ton of fun and work for quality, as always, you guys. And we'll see you tomorrow for some more fun programming. Bye, you guys.